and that is really fiscally irresponsible. In fact, the governor came out originally and he said, we're not going to take all the stimulus funds, or no, he said we are going to take all the stimulus funds, and then I filed this resolution saying, well, especially in the areas of the employment insurance and then some of these other areas where the funding goes away in a couple of years, there are a lot of education initiatives that I could go on down the list naming them. In those areas, we need to be more fiscally responsible with them. And then he switched his position and he said maybe he wouldn't take all the money. And then all of a sudden he had all this national flack because I think he figured out pretty quickly that he was the only Democrat who had made that statement publicly. So then he switched his position back, and now he's saying we are going to take all the stimulus funds, and he's described it as a 4-year budget that he's proposed to us. The fact is, there is no such thing as a 4-year budget in the state of Tennessee. We pass 1-year budgets. The Constitution is very clear. That's all we pass. So he can come up with a plan for spending over the next 3 years, but in fact, he's only going to be there for 1 more budget cycle. He's going to have nothing to do with the last 2 years in his so-called 4-year budget. So all he's really doing is passing the buck to the next governor to have to make the tough decisions that we should be making up front right now. There's going to be a lot of heated campaigns when you've got a 49-49-1 state house next year, and this is something that I talk to people about in Memphis a lot too, and it's hard for this to sink in, but some race in rural East Tennessee that you've never heard of will affect things like whether or not that crime bill passes much more than will a particular race here in the heart of Memphis, where it's, for example, an extremely Democratic district, and there may only be 10% Republicans, or the other way around. Maybe you've got a district that's 75% Republican and only 25% Republican, then the active Democrats are really not going to be making good use of their time if they work in that particular race, as opposed to some race between people that you've never heard of. That's why I drove all the way up to Carter County to help work against Kent Williams in his primary campaign, because I realized what was going to happen if he won re-election. I didn't realize that this was going to happen, but I realized that he was not going to vote for the Republicans when he got reelected. Yeah, we will. I mean, we have before, and the Democrats will have a plan on the other side too. I mean, I can tell you right now the people that they're going to try to pick off, and we had a plan last time. I mean, we defeated 5 Democrats last year across the state. 3 of them were in Middle Tennessee, and 2 were in actually 4 were in Middle Tennessee, and 1 was in East Tennessee. And we did that because we had a plan to target those districts that were most helpful. Those districts didn't happen to be in Shelby County. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time campaigning here in Shelby County last year. I've spent a lot more time in Middle Tennessee and East